welcome for the second episode of this podcast. Well, the name is still work in progress, but I promise you that I will find out a more creative, let's say, name and more lasting name for this podcast. So, as I suggested on the first episode, as some of the listeners said to me, episode 0, but if I want to make 10 of them, that count as one, sorry. So as I said on the previous episode, my goal is to do at least 10 episodes, so one is done. So this is the second episode, and each episode I will bring a new topic that I will share some insights and hopefully have your thoughts about it as well. And this episode is mostly dedicated to all the people that were at least once an expat. And this a topic that is somehow dear to your heart is how to increase their social circle. And it's quite funny that a guy like me is doing this episode, but it's okay, let's see how it goes. But this episode it is not only intended for expats, it's actually intended to everybody that finishes high school or university, is already working, and you can see that your social circle tends to decrease as time passes. So I will try to teach you a few tricks in order for you to renew part of that social circle and, well, basically to offset the decrease of this effect after university. Ever wondered why this is happening every time you finish school or university? It's pretty much because the social connections when the person starts to work tends to be way more formal and tends to have a distance between what is personal life and actually work life, let's say, because one thing is to be completely at ease with the people we engage with, another one is we need to put some formality on the people that we spend the most time with. If you look at it, it's quite a waste that the time that we spend the most is actually the people that we don't cultivate anything outside work, because honestly, if you look back with the time that you interact the most is people that you have a formal connection with. So this will try to bring a little bit of spice on that social circle. If you want to take notes, feel free. I took my own as well, and I will try to share with you. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think it's completely natural that some connections lose their strength over time. But it's up to you to decide if that connection makes sense to you to nourish, or even some connections are even normal that after months, in time, sometimes years, without any interaction, when they get together, it's like nothing has happened or no time has passed. It's like there was a pause on the relationship, let's say, and everything goes as normal. Okay, so this is perfectly fine, but I'm here to try to give you ideas how to nourish the existing connections, and of course ideas to get new ones. So one of the items that I took on my notes is basically what is the objective, okay? If you want to find friendship or love, honestly I'm not the expert on love, so I'll go straight to friendship, but I will just make a small remark. It's interesting to see that there are so many applications nowadays, or even websites or whatever, just to find connections of love, and this has some pros and cons. And one of the cons that about having applications or websites to find your love partner is that you don't get any friendship validation by your friends. Basically, it's like a filter that is embedded on our social circle that simply doesn't happen. This is also a plus, okay? Because if you are completely out of the box, let's say, and nowadays it's so easy to have so good connections outside of the box that it's normal to find someone else that is not on your social circle. But be aware that friendship validation can be a very useful tool and powerful tool, but if it's perfectly okay to find whatever you need on outside of social circles normally. So about friendships, everything happens with common interests. So if you have a hobby or if you have any kind of leisure activity, first step is to be aware what is the activities that you like to do and cultivate those. And a disclaimer, for the purpose of this episode, sitting on the couch watching TV, mostly Netflix, doesn't count, okay? That is simply a way for you to relax and should, in my opinion, should not be the prime time of your activity, let's say. So if you are one of those people, it's perfectly fine, okay? I'm not here to judge, but to be honest, you don't do many friends by watching Netflix. So how can we start? The first step is to try to write all your hobbies that you have, or simply the ones that you would like to experiment one day. And you can also start, for the ones that you would like to experiment, to see some workshops or short duration courses that there is near you that you can try it out simply, okay? It's perfectly fine. And one of the advantages of these workshops is that you can already start to engage with people with common interests. This is the main purpose of this, okay? So interact with something that you are related to and enjoy doing and cultivate those activities, and the friendship comes quite naturally, to be honest. Another thing that you can do if you are really unsure is to see some workshops on YouTube. Okay, this, you don't do any friendships by seeing stuff on YouTube, but at least you more or less are aware if you like some activity in particular. It happened to me when I wanted to learn how to DJ, because I didn't want to make the investment of a workshop, but today is perfectly fine. If I find a workshop which is not very expensive, I will be the first to sign up. And the key word here is really workshops, like physical activity. I do understand after COVID everything is online. I'm not sure if those workshops online work in the same manner, but to be honest, it's a really nice opportunity that you can find people with common interests on those workshops and try to cultivate those relationships there. And another important point is be aware of the environment that you are. Not all workshops are good for making new connections, especially the ones that are very technical, because some of them are just there to really improve their skills, not to make friends. And also it's perfectly okay. I can share some experiences of my own on this topic. For example, I made theater as an amateur actor, and one group was really active socially, going out every time, which has cultivated a lot of very good times on that group. And when I changed from that group to another theater group, was completely the opposite. Okay, I was almost ostracized by suggesting to have a drink after the rehearsals. The main message that I want to pass it here: give space to yourself just to fail. You will fail eventually, but and opposite, on the different view, you get to learn the different skills, you get to go deeper on the activities that you like, and you eventually find out a group that you can build those connections and bring richness onto your life. Another interesting tool that I'm finding out currently is meetups. So I went to some meetups with mixed results, but yet again, you need to give opportunity to yourself to fail, but eventually you will find a group that makes the points that you want. Okay, so it's perfectly fine, just continue, don't give up ever. Well, and to finalize this episode, it's getting bigger than expected. I want to give a special shout out to all the expats out there. Building connections on a new city or a country is especially important for an expat, because people tend to have more mobility, therefore their rotation as they come in your life and they come out of your life tend to be quite fast, and therefore the connection are really superficial, and this might be a serious problem. So here are some recommendations. Try to make more friends with the locals, okay? This can be especially difficult because locals tend not to like expats as part of their inner social circle, but once you get this achievement, is the more solid connections that you have on a new country or a new city. Also be aware that you bring a different mindset than a local, depending on the people that you are trying to interact with. So be mindful of that and try not to judge. The advantage of putting investment on a connection with a local can be high, but overall you can achieve a more deeper connection where people actually invite you to more events and more part of their social life, and you be some sort of a mascot, let's say. And once this is done, you are pretty much in and you start to be a native as well. Okay, so try to invest on those connections. They will be the tougher ones, but they might bring the greater results that you are trying to find. So this is it. I'm trying to put an episode below 10 minutes. I'm not sure if this one will be on that objective, but is everything, well, more or less everything I wanted to say, because there are some bullet points that I left out of this episode. But feel free to reach the comment section if you want some ideas or want to go deeper on one of the topics. So have fun.